Welcome back, everybody. We're getting set here for match number 3 of CCSW, week number 9, the final week here. I'm Brimstone, of course, and we've got Falcon, we've got Red Cube. We're ready to go here for that third match. Just coming back from the Outdeuced versus Powerhouse match, where Outdeuced took it 7-4 in a very entertaining fashion. We had knife fights, we had tachankas, we had it all. We had sausages, everything you could have wanted in one match. But we are going to Artemis versus Slaughterhouse here. This is the map that we were, or the match, sorry, that we were just talking about. That will be entertaining from the point of view of that we already know, or we're pretty sure we know what the outcome will be. But if the upset happens, this would be massive. This would be just something we'd be talking about for weeks. Are we going to see it?
I hope so. If any day, like Henry said, if any day, it's the day, because it's like I have the wrong things in my notes. If Artemis is anything to hide, it is mass, because like they're probably gonna be hiding stuff. Let's be honest. It is 8-0. They have nothing to lose right now, except for maybe some pride. So maybe that's what Slaughterhouse takes into advantage, and they're like, if they can't show anything, then we can bring it all out, all guns blazing, and then just go in and maybe live up to their name, slaughter some houses.
Yeah. Well, there would be a lot of pride lost if they lost to Slaughterhouse here. And outside of pride, I mean, if they lose to Slaughterhouse going into the playoffs, what does that say to every other team in the playoffs? A lot.
I mean,
they are vulnerable.
I think we have to take that with a grain of salt, in my opinion, because Artemis coming into this game, I'm almost 100% positive that I'm pretty sure Artemis and Slaughterhouse are pretty close, like personally, like out of the game. So I'm pretty sure they're also coming into this game with memes planned, with just like messing around planned. So if Artemis loses, it's kind of just like this, like, okay, they lost, but were they really showing anything? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If we see, that all kind of actually depends. Let me retract just a little bit. That all kind of depends on how Artemis is actually playing. If we see an Artemis that is like really strat heavy and it looks like the Artemis we've seen in the regular season and they lose, then we can go back and say they're vulnerable. But if we see an Artemis who's running Tachanka, who's literally just like outside of the building on defense more than they're inside of the building on defense, then we could probably say this might have not been the greatest way to kind of dictate their skill level and dictate if they're vulnerable in the playoffs. As well as the fact I'm 100% positive they're just kind of messing around with roles, because on Twitter a lot of their players already said that I'm going to be off smoke for the day, so there's support players aren't going to be playing smoke. They're going to be allowed to just kind of let loose, and so it should be fun. It should, no matter what, be absolutely entertaining, but it's not the best way to judge the team, in my opinion, because if they lose, if they win, either way, I'm almost 100% positive expecting this to be very, very meme orientated, a lot more than the last game.
Oh yeah.
Well, there really isn't too much more to talk about. What we will talk about now are the players playing in today's game. We have Artemis. Everyone's familiar with Artemis as well. We've had names that have popped up week to week with big showings. We've got Madeline, Aruz, Swagmander, Light, and Wolfie, all 5 of these players have made names for themselves so far this season. They'll be going up against Slaughterhouse featuring Bailey, Alexis K, Tara, Assault Queen, and Pyra. And they've had some pretty good games themselves, although their team record might not show as much. But these girls have played well as well. But once again, it's a team sport. You need to come together as a team.
Yeah, I think something that we need to take away from Slaughterhouse is the fact a lot of people are just going to look at their record and be like, oh my God, they're at the bottom. But again, I think the thing we need to take away from today, which I was talking about in the Powerhouse game, is the fact that just the way they have improved throughout this season is absolutely tremendous. I think that's one of the things that in almost every single competitive league is the best outcome. Even if your favorite team loses in the playoffs or whatever happens, you can look back at that season and say, I got better in my X, Y, and Z. And I think that's something Slaughterhouse can 100% do. That's something Artemis can 100% do. That's something every single team in this league can 100% do. So it's just really interesting to see this game where they're going to probably have a lot of fun. We can also just see how much they've actually improved. And whether that be, I've said this earlier, but it might not be as apparent as you might like. A mechanical skill is really easy to see improvement on, but it's also really hard to improve on. When it comes to comms and it comes to communications within the teams and things like that, that's something we do not hear. So I'm 100% positive that Slaughterhouse has probably improved in so many ways in that regard, but we just don't know it. So there's a lot that you can look at and just be like, oh my God, they're at the bottom of the leaderboard, but that's not something you should be looking at. There's a lot of other things that I think should be more dominant than just their record. And that goes for every team.
Definitely. Well, talking about improving record, improving as players, what helps improve is experience. And where do you get experience? By playing on maps. Do you like that little transition there? I'd like to talk about the maps now. What we will do is we'll hop into the map ban phase here, and we'll find out where girls are playing.
Let's see. I mean, so I would be kind of disappointed if we're talking about this game, our first seed versus our 10th seed, if we didn't just go back to the classic being Clubhouse. Obviously we don't know yet, but who knows? Like that's something that would be kind of reminiscent, you know? It's just like our two edges
like
of
full
this
circle.
rosters.
Yeah,
exactly,
it's like a full circle.
We just come back first to 10th, like first map to last map, or like 18th map to 36th map. Like we've seen it 8,000 times, so why not see it again?
Yeah,
and
no, that
since both these teams, one of these teams has everything to hide, one of these teams has nothing to hide. I feel like Clubhouse would be a good middle ground for them. It's kind of like Artemis have practically shown everything they have to ever show on this map. They probably played it like 8 times already. So Slaughterhouse, again, having nothing to hide. Maybe they've seen Artemis play, they've seen everyone else play, they know the kind of the meta that CCSW revolves around. So that's something that they can prepare for if they have the kind of time. And that's something that isn't like as unknown as every other map. So they have that kind of advantage going into it. So it is actually going to be Clubhouse. So we're going full circle right back to the beginning. So this might actually be a pretty good game, because I don't know if anyone else remembers, but Slaughterhouse last week going against Disrupt, they pulled a pretty decent comeback. It started out kind of rough. Disrupt obviously is they're a solid team. They're still in 4th place right now, if I'm correct. And Slaughterhouse, the wrong house there. But Slaughterhouse started out bad. They came back, and the only thing that could stop them was Maddie getting a 4K, almost an ace, only denied by one player. And yeah, so if that hadn't happened, we might have seen an overtime in that game. Obviously, Artemis is a different story, but even still, we've seen a lot of upsets in this league. And if Artemis do want to save some stuff, their 9-0 scoreline might be in danger of not happening.
Yeah, and as the players get into the lobby, I think one of the questions that I had from one of the players was, I know that 2 of them made an agreement to use controller for today's game. I think it was Terra and Light. Both said because there's not much at stake, we should just use controller. And we did just get confirmation. They are, in fact, using controller. So this is, like I said, this is definitely a game that we probably shouldn't be like, oh, this shows everything, because it definitely does not. We did hear that if it starts going bad, they'll both switch back to their mouse. But either way, just the fact that going into this game they're using controller is, I think, just speaks volumes to kind of what the atmosphere is going to be like for this matchup. But going on to Clubhouse, I'm actually very, very happy. I think that's one of the first times I've ever said I'm happy to see Clubhouse in CCSW, because we've seen it so many times. The one thing I do love about Clubhouse, and this doesn't even matter how many times you play it, is if there's any map that I would love to play over and over and over again, or watch over and over and over again, it's going to be Clubhouse. And the reason why is because the bans, the operators you bring, whatever happens, whatever your lineup is going to be, it can really change the way Clubhouse plays. It is one of the most fluid maps, and it's something you don't see with maybe Border, Coastline. If we saw Coastline over and over again, or Border would absolutely be horrible. I would never cast CCSW ever again. If we saw Border the same amount of times we've seen Clubhouse, that would be my casting career. It would be over, because Border is so stale. It's just fleshed out to its bones, whereas Clubhouse is the complete opposite. There's so many things that can happen, and that's why I'm actually very happy that out of all the maps to choose to play over and over again, it is Clubhouse, as well as the fact, like you said, we've come full circle. It's the number 1 team versus the number 10 team on the map that we've seen so many times before on the very last week of CCS. The only thing to like really make this full circle was if this was the last game of the day, but it's not. But it's still, it's like as close as you could get to a full circle.
Actually, is it? No, it's not. We have disrupt.
No.
That's actually
Yeah, we have disrupt. That game's important.
Yeah, that's actually kind of
fairly important
because of that. So I'm slightly glad that we're not closing on this in that case. I almost thought we were, but we're not quite that far yet. We're only halfway done with the play day, so we've got a long ways to go. But speaking of a long ways to go, I think we have a bit of a delay.
Yeah.
One of our players is apparently in a ranked match. I mean, technically, they might go into another ranked match like right after, and we're gonna see it on stream. So who knows? We might see some nice little pickup gameplay.
Yeah.
From them right now, but yeah, so we just gotta purchase some time real quick. What else do we have to talk about? I mean, Clubhouse, we've seen it. They have nothing to hide. I said that already. This is gonna be an enjoyable game. I feel like it's gonna be that kind of thing.
We're gonna have
like
a lot
last
of fun.
time, yeah, we saw like one sausage. This time, if we don't see a sausage like every round, or at least like Ella shotgun, like Aces style running out the building, I'm gonna be slightly disappointed. It is Clubhouse. It is kind of a close quarter map. We're not gonna have that kind of like skylight action that we have on Coastline. We don't have long angles like we do on Bank. It's the place where you can be very viable when you have close range weapons like shotguns that you can hide in like connector, hold windows. You can hide under the hatch in, if I'm correct, what is that room called? I've already forgotten. My brain is fried right now. But in logistics, that's what it is. You can sit under there with like a smoke shotgun or an Ella shotgun, whatever you want. There are options for Slaughterhouse right now. If they want to catch Artemis off guard, because Artemis are so used to playing so fundamentally right, if Slaughterhouse kind of divulge from the meta, they might be able to find some openings that Artemis leave open that wouldn't exactly be a problem with most of their teams if it's more conventional. So that's something that I'm personally hoping to see from Slaughterhouse coming out from this game.
Yeah, and I think since we are having this little bit of delay, I think we could potentially bring back Brimstone. So I hope Brimstone's ready. I hope he's not just slacking off on camera like he always does. But he is going to be coming back here so we can ask him a couple questions and he can join in on this glorious conversation that we are having. But, I mean, we've talked about it. Me and Falcon have talked about it, Brimstone. What is your kind of big take on this game?
My big take is, well, you know what? I was going to have a take, and then I heard about controllers, and I thought, what's the point in having a take?
Yeah.
No, but my honest take, even if they have some fun, wouldn't be surprised if we see a 7-0 or a 7-1. Get the brooms out. This might be a sweep.
Oh, no.
You know, I think that's what we're going to be looking at, to be quite honest. Unless, you know what? I want to see more knife fights. I want to see, is there anything else creative that teams have done? Knife fights is a good one.
There's like some people do like the standoffs, so like they have people who have like the equal pistols on defense and offense. They're just like they're like walk 10 paces and just turn and then just start shooting it up. But it only really works well in like 2v2s on house when you have like a Doc and a Rook and then like a Twitch and a Monty and you just tick, 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 turn and then you just start shooting. But there's not much you could do. They could somehow orchestrate a whole Michael Myers game, but that is going to take way too much coordination. And so I don't know. But there's definitely, you can get creative with it, but there's a point when you kind of run out of content.
It's too bad the Doctor's Curse has ended already, because that would have been a great match to
I wish we were on TTS. I really do. I hate the boss. I hate it. I absolutely hate everything around it. It is the stupidest decision Ubisoft has made, next to releasing Lion. But it would be absolutely hilarious to see it in this game. But unfortunately, we're not. And we also could have gone on TTS and just seen like all the new operators. I feel like that would have been an absolute blast. But the competitive integrity of the entire league would have definitely been flawed just a little bit if we did that. So we're just going to have to deal with what we got right now. It still should be fun.
I'm also guessing there's no way in the game to duplicate operators, correct? Unless they're recruit.
You can't do recruits in custom game anymore, can you?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say if we could find a way to get all
like a bunch of frosts, it's just like running at each other.
All Callies, dude.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so fun.
Yeah,
that'd be absolutely amazing.
Scopes only.
Crane shots. It'd be perfect.
Yeah.
It would literally be phase up. We would get sponsored by FaZe immediately. No, but unfortunately, we can't go into the TTS.
It is TS, right? That is what it is.
Why did I say TTS? Technical test server. So technically, it's both. Technically.
Yeah.
But every time I say TS, I think of TeamSpeak. So when people are like, "Hey, yo, hop on TS," I'm like, "Why do I need to hop on TeamSpeak?" I'm like, but I'm just stupid like that. But we are still waiting on a couple people coming into this game. So we are. Yeah, so it actually looks like we just got word that Artemis will be bringing in a sub. So I guess that ranked game is really important for whoever it is. I'm gonna look at the lineup. So we have Madeline, Arus, Light, Swag. Who are we missing on the side of Artemis?
Wolfie. We're looking at
Wolfie. Oh yeah. So Wolfie unfortunately is not going to be played. Instead, it's going to be the ranked grind for Wolfie. Yes.
Yeah, those 12 elo points may be worth a bit more than an undefeated season. I don't know, but no, but we don't know. We're just joking around. We don't know what the real reason is. But we are. Oh, they weren't the ranked person. So my apologies. I was wrong. I take it back. We have the person in. We're just the one person we're looking for right now is MIA, but they are getting the substitute in, which is completely within their rights to do so. So we should have this up and running shortly, just not quite yet at the moment.
You know what? Since we have some time, I think it's about time the stream sees the doggo. I think this would be a good time.
He's already made so much of a mess.
No way.
It's
the
a
moment
bust. They need to,
he's
they need to
sleeping.
see the culprit.
The moment Ghost, come here. Come on. You want a treat?
No.
He's
the
moment. He's never sleeps when I cast. He never sleeps when I cast. Are you?
It's because he knows. He knows. He can hear you right now. Like
he's such a little rat. Oh my god.
Like he barks during the cast, and then when we're on break, he's like
he wiggles around during cast, when I'm talking, and just like slams into my leg. And like, if all dog owners know this, when your dog like puts all his weight on your body, it's like he's like trying to give you a hug. He does that constantly when I'm casting. And then the moment I want him to just come waddling over, he's just like, nah, I'm gonna sleep here.
The irony here is that he just won't throw you a bone. I think that's the real irony.
Oh no.
This is unfortunate.
All right. I mean, maybe that's a good thing.
Wolfie's back.
We found
Yeah. The doggo's not here, but Wolf is.
Yeah, the dog's not here, but Wolfie came, so it's all good. But it looks like all the players are ready. So all jokes aside, well, actually not all jokes aside, it looks like the jokes are probably going to continue going into the map of Clubhouse.
Starting.
Artemis versus Slaughterhouse. Let's see what happens.
Good luck, have fun's coming out from both teams already. And I'm expecting to see no bans, or maybe the same bans. We'll have the new operators being banned out. Who knows? Good luck, fun have. Luck good. Master Yoda coming out. But Thermite being banned out from Artemis first off. That's kind of meta. I mean, we see that every once in a while. Thermite being banned, or Hibana, one of the two. Or maybe, I remember way back when bans kind of first came out and Clubhouse was still in. I think Thermite, Hibana bans, and then we had to play all the defensive rounds without hard breachers. Maybe we'll see the same thing again. Who knows what Slaughterhouse is going to think of right now. Jackal, all right. Pretty standard.
Yeah, so we're actually seeing quite standard bans, which is surprising. I was expecting some no bans or some Amaru bans or things of that nature. And it looks like our time sync is just a little bit messed up. So we are going to try to get that addressed as soon as possible for you guys. But again, these bans are just all extremely typical. That's not at all the start to this match I expected.
Yeah, Kaid as well, so no hatch denial, so they're gonna practically guarantee the fact that Hibana is able to breach all the hatches as he wants, and as well as some of the walls maybe if they don't decide to bring a bandit, but that might be a bit surprising. An Echo ban as well, pretty meta. I mean, you've got the Jackal and the Echo, both pretty annoying operators to say the least. Jackal is just basically free information, Echo is that kind of thing that you cannot see on the bomb site, and you cannot manage to see unless you have an IQ. And of course, he did get that little like ninja nerf next patch, but I think it's been confirmed that it's a bug. So he's not supposed to be completely visible at all times. Nevertheless, Tachanka right off the board. If he has a sausage, we're going to have to wait to see. But it looks like we're already starting out with these interesting lineups. Round one, Church Arsenal with the Tachanka. Curious to see where this is going to be placed.
Yeah, so Light is in fact the player playing with controller. So Kachanka.
Controlanka.
Tachanka with controller and no sausage. Oh, that's just sad. There's no sausage, unfortunately, for the Tachanka, but it's close. You have the controller part knocked down, and you also have the Tachanka part knocked down. That's hard, okay? That is a hard word. I do not know why. I never have to cast that operator, so when he comes into the picture, it's just like, what's my mouth doing? But,
We've never said it before.
Yeah, I've never said it before.
Wait, this is the only play day that makes Tachanka not have a 0% pick rate, right?
Yeah, it 100% is.
That's it. They just made the stat workers do a bit more work.
Yeah, so it looks like we are gonna be all synced up here, which is good. But
Hello.
I saw that. What was that? I saw Tachanka on the pool table or billiards table. Doesn't really know, but again, it's the controller as well. This is gonna be interesting. I don't think anybody is spawning there, unfortunately. I think just waiting for potentially someone to open up that barricade. That would be absolutely terrifying. If you're an attacker and you knock over that barricade and just see a big old Russian man just staring you down. That is not something you want to see every day.
Stuff of nightmares right there. No one's gonna like that one. But speaking of things that no one likes, that's the exact opposite of what we're seeing right now. Bailey right in the dirt tunnel, looking for bomb site control already, as most of the defenders are actually roaming. Up top, you've got the Tachanka right there, packing up her turret. And the only player on the site, Swag, making stuff happen. 2 frags for her. Bailey and Assault Queen fall. One of those being the defuse carrier. And the Mozzie's back as well for some assists. And that push has absolutely been stifled. You've got one more player, Tara, being extremely lit up, but Alexis K has her back. A headshot and a light, and that's the Tachanka no longer, unfortunately. And even more so, I think she had the turret in her back pocket as well, so no more of that in this round either. And Assault Queen being surprised that her rush didn't work, especially because there was only one person on site. A bit unfortunate, but they still got time to work with, so they have a chance in this round.
Yeah, so there's definitely still a chance. The Habana, though, is brought down to extremely low health, and it's definitely going to be a little bit more difficult to get any type of presence onto site if Habana does die. As Assault Queen is making fun of me because I messed up her name last week. But Arus is able to find one onto Terra. That's going to be the Habana down. So Arus off of smoke, making her presence known already, taking down the one operator that is really, really important in trying to get some type of site control, because now none of those hatches are going to be getting opened. Now it's going to be all up to just basically pure gun skill, and losing your F2 definitely hurts that gun skill quite a bit. It's going to be Capital left alive, the last one left alive here for the side of the attack, sitting on these central stairs, is trying his best to kind of bring this round back in favor of the attack, as I'm getting harassed in chat. But Artemis is going to be winning the first round, and Arus off the smoke is able to find 2 kills. So I mean, I guess let Arus loose. Whoa, yo, did I just
Yeah.
that was good.
That
That was
happened.
good. But Artemis with their first round on defense, and I am 100% positive that I will not say Assault Cream this time. It's going to be Assault Queen. I will not make that mistake again. But first round going to Artemis, and you can definitely already see the somewhat memes coming out. You saw the Tachanka, we saw the rush strat. I think everyone's just trying to have a good time.
Oh yeah, dock this time from light. They see, okay, once more. They're not going to expect it,
we're
right?
back.
Because they saw
We're
it
back.
last time. They had the 6 pick. They didn't 6 pick onto the Tachanka, so they knew. Maybe this time they're like, we're safe this time. We can just run up to the windows.
Yeah, we can just run up to those windows. No, no, you cannot. Now we are sitting onto a different site, arguably the most viable site on Clubhouse. I'm surprised we didn't see the bar. What is? I don't even know what the secondary name is. Bar.
I was about to
bar
say
something.
cocktail, but that's the wrong map.
Yeah, I was gonna say bar cocktail as well, but I know that's not the right name for it. We never see that site, so I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't already seen it in a game like this. But I do not doubt that we will probably see it later on in this matchup. So Light most likely going to be perching up on this corner on the rafters. That's kind of what I'm expecting. I don't exactly know where she wants to. No, instead, going to be in the top right of these rafters and maybe trying to deny any entry from the wall. Instead, she's just going to put that LMG right back into her back pocket. Don't know how that works, but it works. As I don't know where that turret is going to go, but we're just going to have to wait and see.
I mean, we've had a lot of people mention it before. Okay, right off the bat, Salt Queen creams Wolfie and no more of the ACOG on the defense. There was only one since the dock was 6 picked off of, but before she interrupted, I was about to say, a lot of people have mentioned that, like, the defense have a lot of really universe-breaking kind of mechanics. They just pull two enormous metal walls out of wherever. And not only that, but they have metalworking tools in their back pocket too, as Intero has once pointed out, because some walls, as we all know, are not the same size as other walls, right? So on
yes,
plane,
they have to have like multiple types.
Exactly, or they just
like
cut
a
it in
hardware
their
store.
pocket. Yeah, and then like
something.
Bandit has 4 car batteries. Think about that.
Yeah.
4.
He really does. He has 4 car batteries. Unfortunately, Madeline is still holding 3 of them. But that's heavy. If you're someone holding, that is definitely heavy. As again, Arus off of smoke is able to find her role on Jaeger, takes down Assault Queen. That's going to be a late refrag, but a refrag nonetheless, taking down the Ash. And just like that, about halfway through this round, and not too much presence in terms of kind of map control for Slaughterhouse.
Yeah, the walls are just about open. I mean, you've got the floor angles. So there is that one repelled player looking for feet, not gonna find any yet. Ivana finally coming over. As there are no bandits at that point. There's no way that Madeline's gonna be able to trick that wall now that that repel is in place. So the breach likely gonna come through very soon. 1 minute left on the board for a side execute. And this should still have utility. I don't think Alexis K has used any of her Capital bolts. So they should have smokes, they should have fire arrows. And Pyra as well with whatever Thatcher grenade she might have remaining in her pocket. The defense is sitting fairly still, watching all the angles that they need to, not overextending too far, and they should be fairly safe. Tara's coming out, but actually, Tara's gonna find Light on the bottom floor of the garage, looking the wrong way. That's a frag for the attack. Another one. Swag runs out from the master bedroom, gets caught off. Alexis K ready for that one. And another peek. Damage onto Alexis. And a response from Arus. Finally a headshot to Tara. Another one to Alexis K. 2 versus 2 now. Madeline trying to go for a gunfight into connector. But it's all right now going in favor of Slaughterhouse. They are 2 versus 1 against Madeline. They are the last one alive. I think they know where she is in the pre-fire. Not going to be coming out in time. Bailey with the great headshot. And Slaughterhouse make that work. Tight on time. But it doesn't even matter at the end. They find all the frags. Good trades. Back to back. And they take a round. It's all tied up.
Yeah, it is a defender-sided map, so giving rounds to the attack is definitely something you don't want to do. And I don't necessarily want to call that giving a round to a team, because that's just not really what happens in Siege. The only times you really can give a round to a team is if you just like C4 your entire squad and then just leave the game. That's really the only way. But we are going to be now going back to the same site. So instead of opting for that change of site and also change of scenery, we are going to see that Artemis is instead going to stay a little bit stubborn and try to do CCTV one more time. And Light, unfortunately, not going to be playing Tachanka anymore, is going to opt for that Vigil pick. And already, could we potentially see Light has kind of waddled off of the controller and is going back to the mouse, because she has had 2 somewhat disappointing rounds on Tachanka.
Yeah, hasn't really worked out. I mean, okay. Admittedly, we haven't seen her take a gunfight. I don't think she was looking the wrong way.
Yeah, she's been shot in the back quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we saw the first one either. So I'm not entirely sure what happened there. But even still, I wouldn't blame him. 1-1. You're not doing too good. 0-2. Haven't really contributed to the round so far. And not even finding a pick, dying with the Tachanka turret in the pocket. First round. That okay. I think we see what's happening here. Like that is definitely a mouse.
Yeah, that was not a controller.
TTI button.
That was definitely not a controller. So Wolfie last time around did get picked off immediately, is trying to go for it again, gets picked off immediately again. You know, at this point, Wolfie should have just gotten that sub. I'm kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke.
That's
I'm kidding. It's a joke.
unlucky.
It's a joke. But unfortunate there for Wolfie as she meets the grave very early on, and just kind of gets a couple damage hits onto Assault Queen.
You did it again!
I did. It's just my head. It's like my head is telling me, don't do it, don't do it. And then my mouth is like, haha. And I just say it every single time. But Assault Queen is down a little bit on health, but that's just about it that the bandit did. And seems to be almost an identical push from the side of Slaughterhouse. They're kind of orchestrating the things the same way. The only difference being now is the fact that there isn't a Tachanka to worry about up in rafters, and you still have a couple roamers on the board in the hands of Light and Arus, as well as Madeline, who's kind of this off-site anchor sitting downstairs here on this new blue side as Legion. So not too much site presence, but there is definitely a very, very strong roam presence.
Yeah, so far. Same setup. Look at Bailey though, walking in. No one seems to know. Light does get a pick on Alexis K, so that's her first frag of the game. Arus a follow-up. Nice headshot into Assault Queen, but Bailey, this unknown in the middle of the bomb site, gets one frag. And one more by her teammate. Doesn't know! And Tara gets another one because Swag was looking the wrong direction. And Bailey with another follow-up. And Slaughterhouse looking surprisingly good against the #1 seed. Look at this turn. Bailey's so quick. And the Legion had no chance to get up those stairs. Slaughterhouse with the advantage. And it looks like they might actually be in the running for this one.
Yeah, I think we are gonna maybe potentially, I don't know, I actually really don't know, but I think on the horizon we could really see Artemis kind of kick into high gear and say, okay, we don't want to kind of ruin our undefeated record. Like, we want to go undefeated really badly here, and they might go back to their more typical stuff. We're not seeing that as of yet, I don't think, as Arus is still not playing that support role that we typically see from her, as well as the fact Wolfie has spawn peaked twice in a row and also just 6-pick from an Ella to an Ella. So I don't think they've reached that point yet, which is not surprising because the game has barely started. But I wouldn't be surprised if Artemis kind of just say, okay, this was fun while it lasted, but we need this undefeated record. It could definitely not happen, but I think I'm leaning towards the fact that it probably will if these rounds keep going in favor of Slaughterhouse.
It has to, right? A 9-0 just looks, it is pristine.
It looks clean, yeah.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. Like, who doesn't want to say that you went flawless an entire season of CCSW? That is nothing to be scoffed about. Even, like, they're the only team. Even the other good teams we've seen, Victoria's Secret, QIM, Disrupt, they're all talented, and they've all dropped maps. And to be able to say you push through all of that flawlessly, that is something else. And like, yeah, this game doesn't really mean that much. Like, their seed, it's literally impossible for them to be knocked out, but even still, 9-0, it's clean. That's something that you can put on a Twitter bio any day.
Yeah, 9-0 in CCSW. And we are going to see that it has not happened yet whatsoever. As Light, is there a suppressor? There's no suppressor on the P90, so that's mistake number 1. But you are still going to be using that P90, which is, it's not the favorable weapon, but it is definitely a fun weapon to use. So the push here from the side of Slaughterhouse is changing just a bit. It looks like they're going to be more focused on this west side instead of what we saw, that east side push almost every single time. But Arus is going to be the first to fall here, and it's going to be quickly followed up by Light, as well as Slaughterhouse are looking very, very good as of right now. You still have a Smoke and a Maestro on site, so it's going to be very hard to gain presence of site because there's lots of denial and lots of intel. But the fact that you have 5 bodies against 3 bodies and still have about 2 minutes left, this is absolutely incredible for the side of Slaughterhouse.
I mean, this round, even no spawn peaks, I don't think they were going over aggressive or anything. Almost the response there to try to counter that pre-fire by Tara. Thank goodness that Tara stopped just short when Swag peeked in, but I mean, nothing really excruciatingly wrong from Artemis in this round. That's a good follow-up. Good comeback. Madeline with their first frag of the round. On to Alexis K. That's a lot of utility off the board as well. And Assault Queen's pretty lit up as well. She's got about 20 health left. A bullet from any gun on the defense is just about going to do her in. So good follow-ups. Madeline with yet another one. A good headshot to Terra. Not even a low character. So putting the health advantage even more in the defensive favor.
Yeah, it's just like that. Madeline's able to find 3 as takes down Pyra. And it's that Alda is just such a good gun, and Madeline is using it perfectly as Swag is able to follow up. And just like that, in a 5v3 when you have 2 minutes left and have so much map control, it does not matter for Artemis as they just respond perfectly and hold off sight to a T. And just like that, keeping it tied up 2-2 as that's definitely, I think, where we saw Artemis wake up just a little bit. We saw Madeline on her more typical role. Arus still hasn't been transferred to her more typical role and is still not going to be transferred to a more typical role. But again, you are tied in the game that doesn't necessarily matter as much. So it's not surprising to see these kind of changes of roles and this kind of change of pace from Artemis. And we can see when they want to turn it on, they definitely can turn it on. And that last round is a great, I guess, example of that.
Yeah, just a reminder to everyone else that might be watching this VOD, just to pick up on a couple things that they might have opened, that they still have the fundamentals intact. Like, when they're in that 3 versus 5, they know the angles that they have to hold. And hold they did. You got that Alda, the Maestro, picking up 3, if not 4, if I'm correct. All headshots, great mechanical skill from Madeline there. And of course, the teammates following it up with frags on the main stairs, as well as frags inside of connector. Good turn by the smoke as well, so definitely they've got their stuff down pat. Yeah, okay, even Light donating some rook armor, so they're still confident. They know they can win this when they want to, so they're going back to that little playing around kind of play style. They're not scared, and anytime they do want to wake up, I'm pretty sure they can just take that shot of caffeine. Look at that swipe from Ruse. That's actually
I was about to mention that. I did not know you could hit all 3 at the exact same time, but Light is going to be going for a spawn pick. This is something you see all the time in ranked, and it's going to work as Bailey. That has got to hurt a P90 to the face as Light, playing very, very aggressively, is finally going to get punished from Alexis K from the exact same spot. So, definitely... Wolfie is struggling. Wolfie is definitely struggling today, as playing aggressively in doorways has just not worked well for her. As I think that's almost 3 rounds back to back where she has died like that, which is kind of unfortunate. But I'm guessing she will figure out a way to clean that up very, very shortly here. But something we have to talk about is the fact that this slaughterhouse that we are seeing is probably some of the best slaughterhouse we have seen throughout CCSW. And yes, they're still memeing around a lot, but just the kind of foundation of everything and the way that they are playing is very, very impressive. And it's something that I think was kind of lacking throughout the regular season. And I'm glad to see that it's coming true and coming to the surface here in the last game of the season, so we can really see how much they've completely changed. So I think it's something we just have to credit Slaughterhouse for.
You know, something that we have to point out too is that usually when we see these kind of Slaughterhouse games, at least last week, they started out kind of poor and they picked that up towards the end. In this case, they're starting out decent, and if trends continue, they could pick it up even more. So it could be even closer in the Disrupt game last time. It is against the best team, and they have shown that if they want to step up, they can. But even still, Slaughterhouse have that potential, that late comeback potential, and they might make something happen. If we do see a player crouch walking down, that's even a slow walk. Like, they cannot hear her right now, the defense. They have no idea this is taking place. And as I say that, she gets shotgun in the face by Swag. That's a bit unfortunate, but low health on Alexis. That's, I mean, you can't really fault her for that. That's unlucky. Shotgun's pretty strong from the smoke. If she believes hard enough, then it's gonna get a kill. So Swag with the pick on the main stairs. 50 seconds remaining. The attack stalled out. Still a health advantage though, so maybe they can do something. Naru's just narrowly dodging bullets from Assault Queen from above. She's already got one pick in this round, and Wolfie, the Ella, that tried to get a bit aggressive. Can she find even more?
Yeah, we are seeing the 30-second mark now for the attackers to make something happen, as Arus is trying to land a couple shots above on the hatch, but she's going to be the one coming out worse for wear as Assault Queen takes down the Legion. And that's going to be very unfortunate in a plant situation late in the round. You really want a Legion. Just like that, Terra is able to find one in the Swag, and it's going to be all up to Madeline on the Jaeger. Unfortunately, nothing goes her way, and Slaughterhouse securing a draw going into the half. as the attacking team on Clubhouse on a very, very defender-sided map. And so Light is being made fun of for her skills, and that means she has plugged in the mouse and is now going to be, I think, turning it on like she said. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens as Tara makes sure to let her know that she just has to hit her shots and shoot them in the head, and it will always work. But unfortunately, with a controller, it's a little bit harder. And I'm guessing Light is getting a little bit fed up with just the mechanics of being on a controller.
I mean, I don't blame her. Like, I guess Tara can say that because she is top fragging for the side of Slaughterhouse, and Light is 2 and 5. They're basically flipped in terms of their score lines right now. So if she can show up, we'll have to see. She's on the Vigil. Basically, the only job that the Vigil is to delay time, get some kills. What else can they show up? Ooh, they've got a Cav as well. Likely going to be a roaming duo. Who's going to be the who's bait? I mean, we're just going to have to see if the side of Slaughterhouse actually decide to go and drone, if they decide to roam clear, or if they have something a bit quicker in mind. If Artemis have these 2 players that are off-site, we've seen what can happen, at least on round 1. Slaughterhouse did go for that quick dirt tunnel push. It didn't exactly work. They weren't looking the right direction, and the player from blue was able to secure both frags onto the players that were on site. Unfortunately for them. But if they sort out the directions they're looking, that kind of seems like a simple thing. Just a bit of communication, or lack of communication in the first round. But if they kind of fix something up there, that might work. For a strat like this, Light's in the garage. And looking, yet again, she's looking the wrong direction. The thing is she fast enough to react on the players that are pushing her from this side? And, even more so, are they good enough? And do they have the communication to push on her from both sides at the same time? Because they do have this soft breach on the other side of the garage. It is open, the buck is looking in. Light does take some damage, but someone return. Assault Queen is half health, but Bailey is the one to win that out. And like I said, the good coordination coming up from Slaughterhouse is the one to take down Light once more, and she yet again finds nothing in the round. She goes 2 and 6 if I'm correct. Not looking very good for her. Light's been kind of snuffed out so far, and it looks like Slaughterhouse are not letting her put the batteries back in.
Yeah, and that was just kind of unfortunate positioning as well for the Vigil. In those types of situations, that's basically hell in a cell. You are backed into a corner. You have multiple holes. You got multiple lines of sight right on your head. Any which way you move, you're most likely going to get shot. So if Light even came out with 1 kill out of that, that would have been extremely impressive. And it's no surprise that she didn't, because it's just, again, it's one of those situations that really is hard to kind of find any type of grip. But just like that, I don't exactly know what Swag was doing, but just kind of jumping right in front of Bailey, trying to maybe hit some type of clip. Unfortunately, it does not turn out well, as that's going to be your smoke off of the board. It is a very, very valuable operator, especially in the late half of these rounds. And most of these rounds have been going towards those 20, 10, 30-second marks. And the fact that you don't have a smoke on the board is going to be definitely an issue. You still have a Legion, and Legion can definitely slow things down, but it is also a 2v5 where the attack is basically all control of absolutely everything surrounding site. The only thing they need to do now is get into site.
Oh, maybe a problem might be they're all stacking up on blue, and it seems like both the Artemis players have the information. Somehow, they're both looking at the same place. But in this case, it might not be entirely detrimental, as we do see 4 players, 1 already inside of blue. And then again, she does take down Madeline, so 1 versus 5 makes this a bit harder. Then it gets shot in the back. Ruse doesn't have much of a chance. Doesn't even turn around. Commits to the front door, and Alexis K takes her out from behind, and they, and by they I mean Slaughterhouse, this might be a bit weird to say, but Slaughterhouse come out with the advantage into the second half over Artemis.
Yeah, it's definitely not something you really expect when just looking at these two teams, but in a, like we said in the pregame, like a game like this, it's kind of something we're not too surprised about, because there's a lot of just running around and having a good time. But the thing is we're talking about how Artemis can just turn it on when they want to. It could get to that point where it might be a little bit too late, because they are on attack now. Clubhouse is extremely defender-sided, and the fact they are on attack now, even if they decide to turn it up and just play their game, they might not have enough juice left in the tank to even do so on a map like Clubhouse.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't think Maverick was banned either, and they're not deciding to bring it, so they're confident on Madeline to be able to get these walls open, but I don't know if they're going to expect this Gym Master site first off. Not really most teams' primary bomb site, and Slaughterhouse looking to make them pay for it, but we'll see if that does end up happening. We do have Wolfie on the Ash, so good counter for the castle barricades. Madeline is still on that hard breach, so hopefully they don't lose her early on. We'll have to see what Slaughterhouse decide to do with that, if they decide to go for some really aggressive peaks, like outduced, or excuse me, my notes are actually really messed up right now. I need to cross that out. Like Artemis was doing, and it looks like Assault Queen's getting pretty brazen. She is outside, the C4 coming out. We've seen that before, and it's gonna get shot out maybe. It didn't exactly blow up. Swag ready for it. Very good shot with the pistol even, not even having the ACOG out. That was impressive. Some people have said that it's easy to shoot C4s out of the sky. Yeah, online it might get a bit harder. It depends on your ping, but nonetheless, very good play.
That's still a nice shot, yeah.
Oh yeah. And with the pistol, interesting that she had her pistol out. I guess she was trying to run faster, but that could have come close. That could have been an opening frag for Assault Queen.
Yeah, it definitely could have. And if you're looking at the roles right now for Artemis, it looks like they are kind of falling back into their usual. Arus has been put back onto kind of the support as she is now on Thatcher. Bailey, though, is able to find a kill onto Light as Light's day just continues to get worse and worse as Sledge is the first one off the board. That's your soft destructor and also a couple grenades. That's definitely going to hurt this attack. But you still have Wolfie who looks to try to get a kill on the pulse, but it's going to be shut down as well. As Assault Queen is looking very, very solid as Slaughterhouse continue to dominate Artemis. And Assault Queen's able to find one on Madeline. I don't even know how that happened. I thought Arus got that kill because I saw the kill feed come up, but oh my goodness, Slaughterhouse is looking like their best team. This is the best they have ever played, and I don't think Artemis was expecting this whatsoever. Yes, this is a meme game, and yes, they're kind of just maybe running around in certain situations, but we cannot take away from the fact that Slaughterhouse is playing a really solid game of Siege.
Absolutely. Assault Queen winning her gunfights in that round. Yet another one, Alexis K. Look at that. The duo UMPs coming out for the majority of the kills in that round. And finishing it off is Terra with the MP7. Ooh, beautiful headshots coming out from every single player. And of course, we can tell that Assault Queen did not appreciate having her C4 denied at the beginning of the round. 5-2. Leading by a significant margin. Pyra has taken 3 gunfights and lost 2 of them. She has not participated in most of these rounds, yet they are 3 rounds up against an Artemis that does not look themselves. And like we've said, we've reiterated this time and time again. This isn't exactly the most serious game, but like Wolfie on 0, that's kind of rough. You don't see that
That's
very
something you don't
often.
see that. Yeah, I was going to say that Wolfie is one of those players like we were talking about earlier on in today. There's players on every team that you point to and say they are a game changer. They can really just absolutely turn it on and murder it the entire game. And Wolfie is one of those players. And the fact that she's just kind of completely lost this entire series so far, it's something you do not typically see. But again, it could easily just be the fact that this game doesn't really mean much for either of these teams, and they could just kind of be not really caring. But it is still something we need to talk about. We could easily just kind of say, oh, this game doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, but that's no fun. We have to just dive a little bit deeper than just what I think a lot of people think. And I think right now, Slaughterhouse, in a lot of people's heads, is playing very, very well. Even with just kind of the handicap, I guess you could say, of this not being very important, you cannot take away just... This is probably the best Slaughterhouse we have seen for a very long time.
Absolutely. Like we've mentioned before, too, we've seen Slaughterhouse improve day by day over the season. And maybe this is just the culmination of all of it. Like, they've just gotten better. Okay, as I say that, Swag does get a pick on a Terra. So, opening, good for Artemis this time. Let's see if they can make anything work from that, because that is the bandit off the board, so no more denial of the wall. They had that Thatcher, so... No one else is really available to have any utility to be able to get rid of their thermites, or Ibanez in this case. That's good for them. Opening frag, as well as the fact that that really pushes their round deeper into where they wanted to go. And another good shot on the Pyro too. Not going to get the frag, but good damage. It does inform them that Light is inside of logistics. That little punch roll at the bottom. They might not expect that one though. Pyra not gonna challenge that just yet. Gonna play it safe, and Artemis is gonna look for that wall opening just to advance the round into its really default position. Jaeger looking for a challenge. And Alexis K with a good crossfire on that angle as well if anyone decides to prone in, but I think 5-2 is as far as Artemis want to get this, or want to let this lead go. Another Hibana charge going out. No impacts at Tricket just now.
Yeah, if there's any round where Artemis kind of wants to close the pages and try to keep their undefeated record intact, it's this one. Because they do not want to let Slaughterhouse get on to match point. They want to prevent that for as long as possible. As Alexis, unfortunately, at the moment she was trying to heal a teammate, gets shot from the window. And just like that, this is kind of the Artemis we're so used to seeing. A 5v2 now with a minute left. So much control and so much domination. A flawless round for Slaughterhouse the round before, but Artemis with the perfect answer and a flawless round for themselves. And could we potentially start seeing this go right back in favor of Artemis, or do you think Slaughterhouse have enough confidence and enough momentum to maybe shut this game out?
I mean, Artemis looked good there. Not gonna lie. They looked like they've woken up, but we already said that. They looked like they've woken up one of the rounds in defense too, so who knows? It could go either way. If we see Wolfie wake up, obviously Artemis have all 5 players at that point, and maybe we see this go a bit farther in their direction and we see a bit of a longer game here. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw an overtime, because I don't think Slaughterhouse is going to give up that easily. I think they brought it so far. They have a bit more juice in their tank, and Artemis is going to have to work just as hard as they did in that round to be able to take any more off their board.
Yeah, if I'm a Slaughterhouse player, the thing that's going through my head is, hey, we've brought it this far. Why don't we just try to close it out? Even if it's a meme game, even if it's just maybe not as serious as many people would maybe like it, let's just try to do our best and let's try to close this out. But we saw in chat there, it looks like Artemis, they were just JKing in the first half of this game, and now this is the official kind of wake up and smell the coffee moment for them. But like you said, that is something we kind of hinted on before, and it didn't necessarily result in Artemis getting the lead. It actually resulted in them losing 2 rounds in a row. So if this wake up is kind of the same wake up that we saw, this is 100% going to go in favor of Slaughterhouse, or we're going to see Artemis kind of just really kind of go into what we've seen from them before. But now working into the action phase, the operator picks and kind of the lineups for all of these teams is starting to slowly dive back into what we typically see from these teams. You know, Terra on the fraggers, Bailey on Valkyrie, we've seen that so many times. Then you have your typical support players, you have Assault Queen and Jaeger, and then you also look at Artemis, who had completely different roles at the beginning of this game than what we are looking at right now. Arus back on support, Wolfie now with the F2, Light is back on the sledge. They are really starting to kind of fall back into their typical playstyle, because I think that competitive nature and the competitiveness of this game is starting to leak through the memes, and they just kind of want to win this one out. Both teams, that is.
Yeah, like you said, Henry, last round was the round that needed to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and say, this is it. We're not letting the round differential go any farther. We'd like to have cleaner slate. And so starting to work together a bit more, and Light noticing that there is no default rotate hole, but there is an impact from above, and no one's going to be up there, so that frag grenade's going to be wasted. But in this case, Terra pulling it back for Slaughterhouse, gonna get the opening frag on Wolfie again. That's looking pretty bad for her, but hopefully, in their case, she's gonna be the camera boy and gonna be able to sit on some drones and make sure that Terra, Bailey, and any of these other roamers aren't gonna be able to have that big of an impact in this round going forward, because that's what they need. They need some kind of leeway. Instead of swag maybe just sitting here, have a drone, because they need to work together. It's interesting what has been happening. I think Artemis has been pushing kind of split all these rounds, and maybe that's why they're getting picked off 1v1. But definitely the opening frag for Slaughterhouse is helping them a lot in each of these rounds, and get that Madeline getting her feet shot off as well. Alexis is going to be blinded from that, so a bit of a reprieve from the damage that she was taking from down below. But 1 minute left, and got Alexis K holding down a couple pushes. Assault Queen's going to get one on the roam, and Light pushing into sight. That's some good hits of play right there. Recognizing the hole in the defense, and although they are down 1 player, they are getting the defuser planted. And if you don't expect this push from the main hallway, Pyra gets a frag and a Light, and this could look really bad all of a sudden for Artemis. She does sneak her way into the bomb site. They're not looking at each other. The angles are not being covered, and Arus gets one. Terra with a refrag. Arus with a response of her own, and 1 versus 1. What just happened? These flurry kills. Does she know that the defuse is coming out? 3 seconds, and she gets the frag. Bailey doesn't pull off. Pros don't fake, but unfortunately, it's Artemis this time to take the 1 versus 3. Arus with all the frags from the drop down, replicating mint success years ago on Cafe. But that was a great one. Unfortunately, not an ace for her, but pulling the rounds back 4-5. 1 more until she closes the distance.
That's very, very impressive from Artemis. Actually, I wouldn't even say that's very impressive because there's a little bit of an issue, in my opinion, when you have to force a player into a clutch situation. Because you look at that, it's almost like it's like fake confidence. Because when there's a clutch situation or one of your players does an absolutely spectacular play, you're like, oh my God, let's go, let's go, let's go. But that player was in a 1vX situation where X was greater than 2. So that shows something was fundamentally wrong with either the hold or the push. And the fact that that kind of happened, yes, it's good for Artemis, but there is still that kind of hidden bias that is there, which is the fact that they could have easily just lost that out simply because their push wasn't as good as it could have been. And it was just reliant on individual skill. When you have to rely completely on somebody's individual skill, that shows something was wrong with the push. But that's not to take away from the fact that that was an absolutely perfect post-plant play from Arus, and she had the celebratory spin cycles after she killed the person defusing the bomb. And or diffusing the diffuser, and it brought Artemis right back into this game. And now for Slaughterhouse, even though they're still in the lead, the question is their cup half full or is it half empty? Because they have just gifted 2 rounds now to Artemis, and the advantage that once looked so massive and match point being on the horizon is slowly starting to dim away, and Artemis is definitely starting to wake up. So we got to see what Slaughterhouse does now in order to kind of bring this game back into their hands. Even though they are still in the lead, I feel like it's starting to they're starting to lose just a bit of their grip.
So close, but yet so far. And a quit. Okay, that's a bit interesting. Light missing the sledgehammer a bit there, but quick blue control taken by Artemis right now, and a frag on a Bailey. Good entry. And unfortunately for Light, standing too close to that wall, Lexus K has an angle, and Pyra with a follow-up. Good 2 kills there, bringing the advantage back into their favor. In 1 minute, they already have, I think they have sight of the defuser. This might be big. Arus does manage to pick it up, but good frag by Pyra. Arus doesn't even see it coming. And all of a sudden, 2 versus 4. This is not looking very good. Wolfie, one of the 2 players left alive. And Swag does get one back, but Wolfie mentioned before she's not been having such a good game. And if there's any run to show up, it's definitely this round to tie it back up. Because I think I just got information that if Slaughterhouse do actually take this, because Powerhouse is in 9th, and they did not win their game today, the head-to-head between Slaughterhouse and Powerhouse puts Slaughterhouse in the running to be in 9th place if they take this map against Artemis. And what a win that would be, to take a win not only against the #1 team in the entire league, break their win streak, and put yourself up 1 place after you've been in 10th for goodness knows how long.
Yeah, that would definitely be not only a confidence booster, but it would also allow the players going into maybe a Season 2 to just be a little bit more happy with their performance and a little bit more content. We are going to be seeing Swag is able to even up the slate, and it's going to be a 2v2 as she finds 2 for herself. And with 50 seconds left, there's still a lot of time that you can work with if you're on the attacking team, but the one problem is you are running low on health. Swag, you breathe on her, and she is going to meet the grave. Wolfie, though, like you said, she's been having a tough game, but if there's any time to wake up, it is right now, and unfortunately, it's going to be all on her shoulders. So she can feel the weight on her shoulders. Let's see how she responds. Pressure shapes legends. There's a lot of pressure on her right now, trying to prevent match point away from Slaughterhouse for as long as possible. She's going to try to maybe potentially go all the way through Moto and find maybe a free kill and make it a 1v1, but Slaughterhouse are playing this very, very smart and just playing extremely passive angles. Finds the Maestro. What a shot there from Wolfie. And doesn't exactly know where the last operator is, but is going to be going for the defuse pickup and just waiting for potentially seeing that Vigil. And this is definitely winnable, but it does not matter as Vigil hiding out in the corner puts Slaughterhouse on a match point against the Now, undefeated Artemis, could we see a blemish in that record very, very shortly, potentially in the next 3 minutes?
I don't know what to say about this game. Slaughterhouse, I mean, can we call it a glow up? They went from losing every game worse and worse and worse throughout the season, then bringing it almost back against Disrupt Gaming last week. And then now putting the #1 team in North America in CCSW on match point, looking very good, might I say, while they're doing it. Artemis, all the pressure on them, everything to lose, and I guess not their playoff spot. That's not to lose. But just a bit of, satisfaction from having that flawless. It's almost gone. They've got 1 round. They have 2 match points. Slaughterhouse have 2 match points to close this game out. And even still, Artemis have to go through overtime if they want to bring this back into their favor. And so far, Wolfie's got 1 frag, almost bringing it back for their team. All sins would have been forgiven if that clutch had happened, but unluckily for them, it is 6-4 instead of a 5-5 scoreline. They have no more chances, no leeway. What is going to happen from now on?
But no matter what, this is going to be, if Artemis want to win this, no matter what, they're going to have to force it onto overtime. And that would be only the second time that Artemis has been forced into an overtime situation, the first being against Victoria's Secret. And the fact that their second time would be against Slaughterhouse, I think is very, very surprising for a lot of people. Coming into this matchup, we didn't have, like we said, we didn't really have too high of expectations for what Artemis is going to be showing. They're probably not showing anything even now because they're measuring the stakes. Yes, the undefeated record is nice, but also keeping your strats and winning the entire CCS because you just didn't show any of your strats is also very nice. And that could easily be what is happening right now. But you never know. We could see maybe Artemis just really wants that undefeated record and just kind of tries to tilt this game back into their favor. But if they want to do so, they are going to have to basically be perfect for the next 2 rounds, whereas Slaughterhouse can make at least 1 mistake. You're going to be seeing this bandit trick is actually doing, well, not necessarily a bandit trick, but this bandit of Terra is doing a fairly good job at wasting the time of the attackers, as we have reached that 1 minute 45 second mark, and there hasn't been too much presence put onto the site from the attackers. So as a defender right now, all is well, and you're sitting somewhat pretty as a trick does come out, and it's going to stop the Habana pellet. So this is looking very, very good for the defense, as only you are halfway through the round, and there's just not much you're really doing as the attacking team. This is looking very, very good as it continues to look good, as Light is going to be the first one dead, and the Lexus K continuing her dominance in this matchup. Takes down the sledge. There's going to be at least 1 frag grenade off the board, and also your soft destruction off the board. So very, very unfortunate here for Artemis. And now this is the very first time I think we've really seen them backed up into a corner.
Backed against the wall is completely right, and even so, it looks like they have a bit of miscommunication going on. Look at that C4. Terra blows Madeline sky high in 55 seconds. 3 versus 5. What more is there to do? That was a pre-play C4. She did not throw that. It was a castle barricade on that door the entire time. And the IQ not spotting that C4 out. Madeline does go down from that. Wolfie with their second frag in the game. Once more, if there was any round to wake up, it was last round, but she can do it in this one. Still, that does keep them in the running, so they have a chance, but Wolfie isolated these 2 players. Crossfire, beautiful on the main stairs. Wolfie with 1 more, but she has to find every single one in this round. 1 versus 3. And 20 seconds to do it. It's not going to happen. Bailey shuts it out. Slaughterhouse take it against Artemis in an absolute... This is probably the biggest upset there is and will ever be in CCSW. 7-4. A beautiful scoreline by Slaughterhouse, going from 10th. I think they actually jump up a placement in the rankings. So a heck of a win by them. Very much congratulations. There's not that much more to say. 13 frags from Terra, 10 from Bailey, and everyone was putting up numbers as well. Absolutely amazing from the side of Slaughterhouse.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are going to be bringing Brimstone back into this kind of discussion. So Brimstone, A lot to divulge in with that matchup. So, I mean, what is your reactions to that?
Is there really a lot to divulge in? I mean, I'm just confused.
Yeah.
I'm just a little confused here because I feel like I feel like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
If you don't take this seriously, then it's like Slaughterhouse is, it's disrespectful to them because they earned that win. They came out and they beat the best team. But then if you do take it seriously, then you have two teams that know each other well that might just be going, hey, we were just having a good time. I don't know. I feel like either way that you try to take this match, you're going to be wrong.
Yeah.
Am I the only one kind of thinking that?
No, I 100% agree because coming out of this game, I want to be like, really, I want to be like, okay, Artemis wasn't showing a lot, but then I also don't want to not give credit to Slaughterhouse because Slaughterhouse played their best game this season, no doubt about it.
They were making moves.
Yeah, they were making moves. But this was 100% Slaughterhouse's best game, no matter what. And I don't want to take credit away from that because I could just say, well, Artemis wasn't trying. Artemis definitely was trying in certain situations. Were they trying their 100% that we've seen maybe in week 4 and 5 or 6? Probably not. They probably weren't wanting to show too much going into the playoffs, and they also had a couple rounds where I think a couple players were using controller. So there's some takeaways, and then there's some gives, and then it's just all a big mess. But at the end of the day, Slaughterhouse ruined the undefeated record for Artemis, and that's something you can kind of run home about and be like, okay, I'm pretty proud of that.
I mean, as Falcon said, that you can put that in Twitter bio. That's bio material right there. But yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there with the fact that, excuse me, that early on, Artemis might not have been taking it as seriously as most games, but by the time that they did have to take it seriously and they started to, Slaughterhouse knew how to finish it out. I mean, Artemis put themselves in that position, but then Slaughterhouse took what they had and they ran with it. So credit to them for doing so, because a lot of other teams might not have been able to hold that one out like they did. So, interesting match nonetheless, but we do have one more match to get to this evening. That's why we'll flip to a quick break for everyone, but stick around. When we get back, we will have Disrupt Gaming Female going up against Axios in a very important match that will decide who plays who in our playoffs. See you guys in a few minutes.